Hello again, my name is Eric Alley with Johns Manville's Performance Materials Division. I'm the Western Regional Manager based in Denver, Colorado. Today, going to show you how to do a reducer with duct board. And we're going to start actually with a piece of 10 by 8 duct. If you need to review how to do this, you can refer back to the other video, but you could basically use these steps to reduce any kind of duct. This is our 10-inch panel, the 1 and the 3 sides. Our 8-inch panels are the 2 and the 4 sides. It always helps me a little bit to kind of lay this out. And so I'm going to cut here, and I'm going to cut the corresponding panel right below it. I've got a straight edge, I've got a knife. That's really all that I need. I'm also going to use my 1-inch tool. So we're going to do a 2-inch reduction. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to measure, and I'm going to just mark right here. I'm going to take 2 inches, just put a mark in here so I know where I'm at. And I'm going to do the same thing. Remember, I looked, I'm going to cut this 2 inches off. I'm going to measure from the same spot. This is a 48-inch square, so I'm going to take 2 inches off this side. So 2 inches from 48 would be 46. I'm going to the 46 mark. And then we need to think about how gradual of a reduction do we want to do this. If we do a 12-inch reduction, that's a pretty radical reduction. It's going to force that air radically down. I like to do a much more gradual reduction. So we're going to do, 18 inch isn't bad. I think a 12 inch is pretty radical. Let's do maybe a 24 inch. That's kind of a nice gradual reduction. So I want to come up here, and we're going to measure 24 inches. So I'm going to put a mark right here at the 24 inch mark, and I'm going to try to keep track of where that is. I'm going to put my straight edge up here. I can see where my mark here is. And I'm going to find where we are up here, right there. Ductboard's one of those things you don't have to cut it through all the way with one pass. It's nice and easy. And this is the cut where we want to cut this all the way through. Easy to work with. So again, we're going to come up here. We're going to measure out about 24 inches. Find my spot down here. Again, 2 inches. Now this one I do not want to cut all the way through because I want to preserve the staple flap that I'm going to create here. We want to leave that facing intact on the bottom, okay? And again, we don't want to take the facing off. We just want to pull this off. Now we're going to use our number 1 tool, and what we're going to do is we're going to put that female edge right back on, just like so. And then we're going to turn it around, and this is where you cut backwards with it. And so what we've done is we've created an edge where we can reduce this back down with. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to cut this staple flap here so that we can pull that over and staple it like so. Okay, now we're ready to put this system together. We're going to bend this over. We're going to try to kind of put this back close to 120 degrees. Doesn't have to be perfect. 2 to 3 inches on center. They don't have to be perfect. We've created a staple flap, and we're going to staple this side right on. Okay, so now what we want to do, we're ready to seal this up. Try to keep this seam in the middle of our tape. So it's going to run a little bit at an angle. And we want to go past where we were at there. And again, if you get a wrinkle in there, you can squeegee that right down. It just goes down pretty good. We're going to tape our other seam, our first seam that we cut. And a lot of times I like to take and about halfway where we started putting on the reducer, I break it off. And then I like to straighten it out and come on down, like so. Okay, now I'm going to demonstrate how we put two sections of ductwork together if we're building a trunk line. We've got our reducer here and we've got a piece of straight duct here. We're going to put our male in onto our female in here, and I'm going to show you how we put this together real quickly. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to take and peel back the facing from this male section. We got to get where we can get this exposed where we can work on this a little bit. So we want to take the corners off of this just so we can get a hold of it and get it where it'll fit in here a little easier. Okay, if we've cut this correctly, this will fit right in here. It's usually helpful to start on one end or the other. Once we get that in, we want to pull the facing down. You'll be able to tell when you have a nice fit on there. We're going to put staples in there. The staples are going to go every 2 to 3 inches on center. Want to pull this down. So on this 10-inch side, probably 5 or 6 staples. I'm a little tight, you know, it doesn't matter. We're pretty close on this side. This other side, we've maybe not as many, but again, it doesn't matter. Every 2 to 3 inches on center. Wherever we have a staple flap, we want to put staples in. Okay, now we're ready to put on our tape. On these corners, you know, you got good facing here. You really just need to cover this, but on these corners, I'm going to go ahead and just maybe add a little bit on the top of this, just to make sure we're getting a good seal on the top. Just like so. Then the final step is just putting the tape around this seam, and to make it look nice, we would just want to pick a piece of scrim on this facer. Just try to find a piece of scrim that looks pretty straight. Pick it and go. Again, we're trying to make it straight. We want to make sure we're covering the seam. If it's not perfectly straight, well, as long as we're covering the seam, we're going to squeegee it on tight, so it should be okay. Again, the idea is we're making an airtight duct, so that's the most important thing. Again, we want to squeegee that until we can see the facing pattern, the scrim pattern through the tape, and I think that looks pretty good. So again, we've got where the seam is. We've covered that by 1 inch with the tape. We've got the staples underneath there. We should be in pretty good shape. That should be a nice piece of sealed duct. We're ready to install this piece of duct in an attic or behind a wall.